Okay, we are live. Another edition of TigerBait live on the air, and we got a big show for you tonight. Obviously, LSU baseball off to a strong start this morning, 9:30 a.m. first pitch, and took care of the Gamecocks. We can discuss that. They had a pitching, hitting. They had everything rolling for them today. The LSU women's basketball team takes off for Washington, D.C. tomorrow in their trip to the White House after winning the national championship. We can talk some LSU football recruiting. So get your questions in. Buddy Songy and I will discuss all that, and we'll go probably right up till right at 9 o'clock. And, of course, we're brought to you by Pride Roofing. If you're enjoying the show, please hit that like button. Very much appreciative when you guys do that for us. And welcome in, buddy.
Good to see you, Michael, publisher and CEO of TigerBait.com. Always enjoyable to spend some time with you ladies and guys and kids. And, hey, it is winding down. You know, we always talk about this time of the year. Softball let LSU fans down a little bit. We'll get in that a little bit and talk about what Beth Tarina needs to do for next year. Ladies golf did not make the match play. Had a great year. Ingrid Lindblad and Latana Stone, two legendary seniors, but Garrett Runyon is a great coach, and they'll be back. But now you're getting back in here as baseball, and obviously been a lot of talk about what they were going to do. I've got some positive tidbits that I think is coming around. One that I really like, Trey Morgan back at first base. We'll get into all the other things. Thatcher Hurd, could he become the number 3 starter? And Nasty Nate Ackenhausen back doing the kind of things that he did earlier before the injury. So LSU on a little bit of an uptick right now, baseball-wise.
Absolutely. And you brought up softball, and like I said on your show earlier today, first of all, give ULL credit. There was nothing that I saw in the weekend that particularly when the Cajuns had to come out of the losers bracket and win those extra games to get it done. They were the better team. And, Tarina's on the hot seat, man. And I told somebody that's a big softball person Sunday night, I said she does not need to look at social media at all because she's getting roasted pretty hot and heavy. But I think she is the absolutely the beneficiary of one. She's got 3 years left on her contract rather than 2. And I also believe because Stephanie Rimp is no longer underneath Woodward, she's now the AD at Nevada, I think that helps her. Will she make a move and mix up her staff? I don't think so. I think she'd fall on her sword rather than do that.
Well, and
you can call that stubborn. You can call that loyalty. Maybe it's a mixture of both, but that could end up being her undoing in the long run.
Probably the most emotional I've seen Beth Tarina in a long time. This is 2 consecutive years they did not get out of the regionals, so obviously there'll be pressure on her. Bringing in some size and some hitting and some offense, and you need that. But that lefty, Jaden Heavener, is not coming in until the following year. So I think it is imperative she goes and gets a big-time pitcher in the transfer portal. We talked about it today. Brian Kelly, Jay Johnson, and obviously Kim Mulkey all utilize that portal to their advantage.
Well, I mean, she got a couple people last year, but she's also kind of said that
but she got to have a dominating pitcher. She got to get a dominating pitcher. Love Sydney Berzon, had a great freshman year, but you got to have a dominant pitcher. We'll see if she goes in the portal for that. But I do think they will have more power from what I've seen coming in. And look, you go 4 out of the first 6 years, and then these last 2 years you don't get out of the regional. But you're getting back on the good side of the ULL fan base, website or whatever, saying the Cajuns deserve to win. I'll say this. Their offensive ability to clutch hit, man, that was you got 6-0 lead, you go down 8-6. That took a lot of grit to come back and win that game. That being said, mistakes made across the board, and we'll see. But next year, not getting out of regional could certainly make it a little smokier and hotter.
Gary Williams, hey, what's up, everyone? Glad to have you with us. Gary, Joshua Forbes also in the house. Thanks to Joshua. He's with us every week, as is Barry Barbier. He says Hurd and Ackenhausen were great today.
And I had to bring the shirt back for Nurse Court and all of our great female friends and some guys, you may have this shirt. Of course, now the new version is Gorilla Ball, and you can get that at
Alumni Hall. Go get it.
one of the great sponsors on this show. Chicks dig the long ball. We all dig the long ball. LSU up to 116 home runs now. And I'll tell you who is.
Weren't you at about 120? What was your number?
I said 128 I thought they'd go over 128, and they still will get there. They will get there.
Yeah.
But the Gamecock fans, remember, I gotta prod a little bit tonight. Remember that Gamecock fan that was coming in here? Mm-hmm. He even was a bot a couple times. He got so out of character. And look, we have fun prodding other fan bases. Don't get me started about the frickin' umpires. I'm ready to slap some of these attention whore umpires who continuously do a bad job and so sensitive. One guy actually told a player, F you, this past week, continuously making mistakes. But South Carolina, man, they thought it was going to be 3-3, Don Staley and Kim Mulkey. And it's 4-2. Kim because of this year, and Staley, 4-2. Then LSU took Jimmy Lindsey, the offensive line coach, and they said, of course, when somebody leaves, he wasn't that good anyway. Then Logan Diggs, they actually thought Logan Diggs was going to go to South Carolina. And then, of course, we finally get the question answered today, after the 1-1 tie, whether they were scared, whether that was a good decision with the rain, but they got their ass beat, 10-3 today. And one of the things I said last week, we talked about the 4 things they needed, and all you kinky son of a guns thought I was talking happy ending with a massage. They look rested. They look like they had done all the things, got off their feet, got out of Baton Rouge. If Jay Johnson makes the right decisions with pitching decisions in the 8th and 9th innings, they continue to hit the ball and play better defense like they have, they got a chance to get to Omaha and do something. But 1 week at a time. Skenes goes tomorrow, 4:30, 4:45, depending on what first pitch is.
Yeah, absolutely. Bart Smokey says, hard to hit a lot of homers at Hoover.
Joe Bear went deep today, and this is incredible, folks. LSU is going to end up with 7, 8. I already have 7, 8 or 9 guys that are going to hit double-digit home runs. Joe Bear is hot right now. That's one of the guys that and Dylan Cruz finally a little bit out of the slump. Oh, by the way, Smokey, I saw, and let me be the first one to buy you a TigerBait shirt. I saw the interaction on the website about that. So I hope that you get that running again. But Smokey's going to be on me, okay? I'm buying Bart Smokey.
All right.
His I think he said he wears a medium.
I think that might be right.
No, I'm teasing you.
There weren't any mediums in that thread.
I don't begrudge anybody on T-shirts.
I don't think I'm ordering any mediums.
But as always, Bart, appreciate you and Tiger Shark and Snake and all the great listeners, viewers, and fans that are on this website.
Big Cojones Kelly, have you heard? And he spells it H-U-R-D. Good evening, Mike and Buddy and fellow Tiger Baiters. Go Tigers. Glad to have him with us. So when you look at the way that this bracket for the SEC tournament might play out, how do you think this is going to go for them? I think they've got a chance to win the whole thing. I think they're going to try to win it.
Well, and I think look, if you win tomorrow with Skenes, then you get a day off, and of course you got to get beat twice. I'll be honest, they win tomorrow, I'm happy, but Jay Johnson sounds like he's trying to build momentum. I don't think it's going to change the national seed, whether they're 3, whether they're 4, somewhere in that neighborhood. But, when you're on a it's like you don't go on any particular sporting event and say, well, I don't care if I want to win. You're a competitor. You want to win every time you get in between the white lines. That being said, if Skenes gets the W and pitches well, oh, by the way, last time he goes 7 innings, gives up 1 run, 3 hits, 12 strikeouts. Shores comes in and gives up a home run, and so they go into extra innings, and then who? Christian Little and Will Helmers got lit up. So Skenes did not actually get the win. That was one of those games LSU lost, even though he gave them the lead. I like Skenes and LSU, and after that, Mike, but it does seem like Jay's mindset is let's go ahead and win this son of a gun since we're playing pretty good right now.
Yeah, and I also liked yesterday, or it was Monday actually, when we got a Zoom call with Cruz and Skenes and also Coach Johnson. And One of the guys that was a part of the media that got the call-in number was a guy that runs a Washington Nationals website. And he fired off a bunch of questions about Skenes and Cruz. And so you're getting to that stretch of the year where, and I don't think those guys, you have to worry about them, but it is that time of year where the MLB drafts on the way. And I don't know how that guy got that number or if it matters, but you'd like to insulate it, but I think those guys are such pros already. I don't think it's going to matter to them.
And the best thing about the Zoom, you get to hear the frickin' questions from the media. So, gosh, we'd love to see LSU have a mic for the media besides football, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So I like that. Look, the Nats picked second, and Skenes and Cruz.
Well, you told Cobble to ask the questions louder. He was at about 12 decibels already, and I think he went down to like 6.
Yeah.
So an air conditioning running sounds coming through your air conditioning vents is louder than when Cobble asked questions.
But Skenes and Cruz have both been predicted 1 and 2, depending on if you want the outfielder or the pitcher. I don't think these guys are worried about it, Mike. I think they realize at this point they can't mess this up. Oh, by the way, Skenes, SEC Pitcher of the Year, Dylan Cruz, the first time ever to go back-to-back with the SEC Player of the Year. He did share the award last year, but still, 2 incredible, classy guys, and it would be fitting if they'd go to Omaha and have a chance. We all know the incredible fantasy story would be for LSU to win it, and Paul Skenes comes up after he's finished pitching and hits a walk-off home run like Warren Morris and LSU. He hadn't hit at all, and they're not going to let him hit with any kind of chance of injury. But he said in some interviews he'd love to hit. But, man, those two are as classy as it gets.
Ballard Sports Media, hello and good evening. Glad to have you with us. Chance Babbitt, Mike, you saw Tulane hired Greg McMahon as special teams coach. I did not see that.
I saw that this afternoon, yeah.
And he's a great man. I love that guy. If any of you saw, he didn't really do any interviews, very few. But Jacques Doucet did a couple of Jacques talks with him, and you really got to see why he's a guy that everybody loves and still lives in Baton Rouge, still has his home here. When you're talking about going from Ed Orgeron to Brian Kelly, if you would have said who should he have kept, I thought he should have kept McMahon, and that would have. And see what I said? What happened? But look, you can't second guess that stuff.
Well, you said that all along, and of course, no disrespect to the former coach Brian Poling, but certainly Greg McMahon would have been an upgrade of what we saw last year.
And I think he would have fit in well that first year. Yeah. He's just that kind of guy.
But he's with Tulane, and we wish him the best. And look, he's like a lot of us, He's you don't want to go sit in a rocking chair. He's plenty good enough to continue work at a high level. I think he's in his 60s, huh?
Yeah. But
kudos to you, Coach
I
Mack.
think that stretch of special teams under him, you have a hard time topping it in my lifetime.
Yeah, well.
Who are some of the great special teams coaches of all time?
Yeah.
But it's not like LSU's had runs of years where they've been bad, but still. Big Cones Kills Windemar, and you're in the catbird seat. And Smokey says, I doubt Skenes goes more than 75 pitches. Josh Forbes, the lame cocks went limp today. TNT Tiger, Spicy Buddy, and Modest Mike. Big Honus Kill, hopefully Skenes doesn't have to go more than 80 pitches. E-Dub the fourth, so football isn't going to go to 9 SEC games. Instead, they're going to keep 8 SEC games scheduled. One permanent opponent. Does LSU get Texas A&M as their permanent?
I have not heard anything verified, but we have heard that Sankey did an interview. And the latest scuttlebutt is that Nick kind of went in there and, said, there's no way you can give us all these constant opponents, LSU and Auburn and Tennessee. That's not fair.
Oh, yeah, especially now that Tennessee's decent.
But I think there's still some lobbying. We'll find out when they go to Destin in another week or so. But, man, look, I'm just ready for it to get announced.
Look, he's not the only heavy hitter in the room now.
No.
Even though it's Kelly's second year, he can make a case for being the smartest man in the room. And now Kirby Smart's got the Skenes. There's a lot of guys in that room that can throw their weight around.
But it's so typical with lobbying and fighting. And of course, you got Texas and OU, some huge egos. The Texas president is coming to Sandestin to watch in and see what's going on. I hope they tell him, say, look, I know everything's bigger in Texas, but get your ass to the back of the line, baby. You're just getting into this conference.
Get ready. And LSU fans that live in Texas, or if you spend any time in Texas, there's no more arrogant fan base in the world than Longhorn fans. And it's a matter of time before they think they can just roll in there and say, here we are, and this is how it's going to be. And they better be ready for it.
We're back.
And like you said, get to the back of the line.
We're back. Hey, second week of the football season. Mike, how about this? LSU, Florida State, without a doubt from what I've looked at early, best game of the first weekend. That's Sunday night, ABC 6:30. Alabama and Texas, week 2. And that is going to be a barn burner. And, of course, as we know, Texas is wanting to think. Now, Quinn Ewers is a really good quarterback. But how bad does Urban Meyer want the Texas job if Sark fails? Urban Meyer a couple weeks said, I can't see a roster that has more talent than Texas. Well, you know, a couple years ago, dude, they didn't have they had 0 draft picks. So I think it's they want to be back. We'll see. Here's that question from a recruiting standpoint. Does it help them, in your opinion, them joining the SEC? Recruiting.
I think it does. And I still think that in the long run it hurts Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I think it hurts Oklahoma.
And, of course, LSU is right in the thick of it with Texas for Colin Simmons, and they have put out the word that they are going to pay whatever they need to pay to get that kid to stay home in the state of Texas. But Mike and I think that he's got a big-time affinity for LSU, so it'll be interesting to see. I asked you today. Does he make that decision before the year, or does he stretch it out? Before the season?
I think he stretches it out.
Okay, I do too.
C-Man CUC. Beth Torina thought this would be one of her best teams. The problem is they got swept by Tennessee, lost the Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas series, and has not won a conference regular season title. All true. E-Dub says Bama will get Auburn and Florida would get Georgia. Ole Miss would get Mississippi State. Texas would probably get Oklahoma. I think if that were to come past, it'd probably be LSU and A&M.
Yeah, I agree. But after being sold on the 9 conference schedule and the 3 and the 6 and alternating those 6 and going everywhere in a 4-year period, I want to see what it's like.
I like the 9-game deal, but in not using pods for standings, but using pods for scheduling.
Yeah, right.
And then, you know, if let's say you're LSU and you didn't have Alabama on your regular season schedule, if Alabama is what they typically are, you would have to see them in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, he's acting like it's a done deal. I don't know. I'll talk to my buddy on Friday, but I do know this. A lot of lobbying and a lot of egos. And,
and maybe he's not the only one who wants an 8-game. Once they start looking at it and what the options are, maybe there's a consensus that they want 8.
And you said it last week. The lower-tier teams want that 4th non-conference game so they can book a winner and a cupcake and make a big payday. I, at this point, want to see LSU play Alabama every year. We've grown up with it. I think it's special. We know what it means on TV. That being said, that would all change if, in fact, they go.
But here's the thing. If let's say you didn't have Alabama one regular season, but you got Georgia. I mean, it's a win. I mean,
I know, but people familiar with that.
From a home, you're looking at the schedule.
Yeah.
I don't think it would kill anybody if Alabama wasn't on the schedule because it's not like they're going to disappear. It's never going to be a deal like where the old times where, LSU didn't see Herschel Walker, didn't see Bo Jackson, didn't see Peyton Manning, got a heavy dose of Emmitt Smith, but some of the Mount Rushmore guys of the SEC, they never got to see.
Poor Mike Archer. The SEC officials put time on the clock when Emmitt Smith was at Florida for them to make a kick and beat LSU at the buzzer. It was ridiculous at the time. But that all being said, we'll see how this stuff, and we should have news once they come back from Destin.
Chance Babin, hashtag Ask Mike, what's going on with all the speeding and reckless driving at Georgia? And
you didn't hear?
American Page says, Chance, it's a prison camp at Georgia.
You didn't hear?
What?
They haven't announced it publicly, but Georgia football players are going to have to take driver's ed if they get a scholarship to Georgia. This is about the fifth or sixth time. Look, let's make sure people do not think
is this NIL deals because they're all getting like 800 horsepower sports cars?
But I'm talking about the tragedy with that drag race and that player dying. We're not, obviously, we certainly give respects to those people.
I've seen my fair share of Raptor trucks around Baton Rouge, too.
Well, and I was
for
going
NIL
to say,
LSU players.
Hey, thank the good Lord. We got drag racing in this town. Thank goodness it's not the LSU players. Thank you.
Yeah.
But Georgia's out of control right now.
Yeah, Big Cojones Kelly. 9 SEC games makes more sense than 8. That's what I think. Especially adding 2 more teams in the league and going to a 12-team playoff. I just think the negative is if you play 12, a 9-game SEC schedule, and you make it to Atlanta and you lose, and maybe you already had 1 loss and you're on the back end of the 12, and so you don't get a bye, and you start saying, well, then you make a run to make it to a championship game. What's the total number of games you have to play to win a national championship? It ends up being, 18?
No, it wouldn't be that many, but well, look, you'd play 12 and then you'd lose.
It'd be
13
16.
And,
it would be 16 games.
Yes, 16.
16 games.
Something like that. But let's just wait and see. There's always a lot of rumor and conjecture, and Sankey, I'm
one of the few people that thinks the SEC championship game should go away.
Oh, yeah. Well, but there's too much this, bud.
Yeah, I know.
Especially with Georgia in there almost every year, and they got that crowd right there in their home state.
Well, in reality, I think the SEC in a 12 game should have no less than 3 any given year.
Yeah, easy.
And at least 2 of them should always have buys.
By the way, Skip Bertman turned 85 yesterday. The skipper is still doing great things here. We saw him talking to Christian Little in the dugout a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, didn't help the kid. But the skipper, man, legendary, retired in 2001, right about this time. That's hard to believe, Mike. 22 years ago, the skipper got beat at Tulane, remember, at the final one. Of course, we know that 2000, I was there at that one, and that was incredible, that comeback. But Skip Bertman turning 85 yesterday, and Jay Johnson winning number 400 today as a college coach. Yeah, Jay, we holler at you, and yeah, you leave the pitchers in too long, but at least some of these moves are making. I like the fact Dylan Cruz is hitting leadoff now. Like the fact that Trey Morgan's back at first. And, of course, Travinsky's still hitting good things. Tommy Tanks White, 91 RBI, and he is going to challenge Brad Cressy's record. Skenes is going to challenge Ben McDonald's strikeout record in single years.
American Patriot with the Super Chat. Big thank you for that, Patriot. He said, did you see Tavion Galloway got upgraded? I love that kid. His parents should be proud. They did a great job. He is a super kid. Switched high schools. I think I mentioned it on last week's show. One of my best buddies in this business nationally lives a few neighborhoods over from Galloway's new high school, and he promises me he's going to have a lot of senior game footage for us at TigerBait. He's going to go shoot some film. I got to pay him, of course, but he's going to go get that for us and get us some interviews later in the fall. And it might be some interesting stuff because they're coming after him. He is still being heavily recruited. He says he's firm, but you got Stone and Xavier Atkins, and you've got others out there that could make things interesting here.
I will tell you this, and I forgot if I saw it on your site or wherever, but I was very impressed with his film, the last stuff that I saw. And as we know, LSU is loading up at the tight end spot. We still have not heard word on that junior college, that big tight end in the 270 range that could possibly grow into an offensive lineman. But, man, LSU is loaded. I just see that kid loving LSU, and he's done so much. He's been recruiting for a good year and a half for LSU. I think he sticks. The other two that you mentioned, JoJo and Xavier Atkins, is certainly could go. But the way LSU's going now, with the momentum and just the projection of the program, I don't see too many people. Look, if you don't want to be a Tiger, we wish you good luck, and they'll get somebody else.
C-Man, are you guys astounded Vanderbilt's Memorial Gym still doesn't have air conditioning, and they refuse to field a softball team? The SEC gives them a lot of money. You guys remember Kim Mulkey's post-game from Vanderbilt? That's the first time she'd ever played in that gym. And I don't know what the date of that would have been. Would that have been late February? And it was like the rest of us in the South, it was hot.
Yeah.
And she was saying, "I'm wet like a rat."
Oh, she was sopping wet 4 or 5 times this year.
And she started off her press conference about the air conditioning. She circled back to it at least twice. And I sent the video to a buddy of mine who runs a Vanderbilt site, and they ran it and got a lot of play on their message board. I think the Vanderbilt fans actually like the fact that she was raising Cain about it. Mm-hmm. The problem they have is that's an old building. And it's my understanding if you make any changes to it, and I think it's even under the National Registry, it might be, you make any changes to it, and all of a sudden all the ADA rules start coming into effect, and you have to start meeting all the new codes of today if you make any alterations. So I don't know what to make of that. That's just, is that one more reason why? It gives people more fodder, those that say it's time to boot Vanderbilt out of the league and add North Carolina and Clemson.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's going to happen with the conference scheduling. I don't know what's going to happen with expansion, but I will say that that is certainly a rude awakening when you coach in that arena for the first time.
I mean, I like the uniqueness of it, but I had no idea that they didn't have air conditioning. But evidently, it's never really come a deal. But when you start having 85-degree days in early spring, it can be a problem.
By the way, my buddy called in with the baseball coach's salaries. Tim Corbin, the guy we were talking about possibly coming over here, I think leads the pack. $2.5 million a year. And, oh, by the way, folks, I forget if it was a Black Dog or whoever it was, but we had a good handful of viewers that wanted Tony Vitello as the coach here. And I think I'm going to stick with Jay Johnson. Tony's great if you want to get in the car and drive 120 miles an hour and turn up the music loud, but they're struggling a little bit. Got a great pitching staff this year, and we're one and done in this SEC tournament.
But he is the right fit for Tennessee. He's done something there they've never had before.
Sure, that's right.
And I don't know, it's kind of adds to the flavor of the SEC to have a guy like that. I mean, who's worse, him or the Vandy Whistler? All right, let's see what we got here.
By the way, Jaden Daniels is bobbling his head. Do not be shocked if your quarterback in the summer months, June and July, gets this big wave of optimistic enthusiasm and people talking about this guy as one of the best 10 in the country, possibly going to New York and possibly leading LSU once again back to Atlanta to play Georgia. And it's going to be fun to see what – I mean, and look, they made chicken salad out of chicken poop in the spring. It's going to be so much fun when we get out there and we see all the pieces of the puzzle. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see more than just throwing to dummies and stationary players. But, man, I'm excited to see what LSU is going to do on offense this year. But J.D., I think, is going to be one of the leaders. He's been here, and he was a big part of getting Logan Diggs here. He wanted to make sure Logan Diggs knew Jaden Daniels wanted him here.
James Phillips, Mike, where does LSU stand with the remaining top 10 football players in Louisiana? I got to tell you, James, if I go line by line, and I was at Acadiana last Thursday for the Wrecking Rams' last spring football practice, had coached from Oklahoma, Ohio State there. LSU had been there the week before, I believe. I think LSU's in very good shape with Dominic. Obviously, he's got a lot of official visits coming up. I think Ohio State is probably a bigger factor there than people think, but I still would not bet against LSU. And if you go line by line in the top 10, I don't see where LSU's behind on any of them.
Yeah, Wardell Mack, we expect to be a commit. We talked
Rogers.
about Joel Rogers today. Look, you get Colin Simmons from the edge, and you get a few more pieces to the puzzle. It's going to be
Singleton at Manny.
Yeah, sure.
All of them. I would not put LSU is anything but the leader on all of them.
So you think for sure a top 5 class this football recruit next time?
I think it's going to be right there in the middle of the top 10. Could be just inside the top 5. Does it go higher? Maybe. You're going to have to maybe sprinkle in something crazy out of state like Simmons and maybe one or two others like that. But when you've got Hurley, who I think, let's see what he does at the Elite 11. I think he's going to blow up and get even more of the due that he should be getting. I think one by one, this class is going. I think McBride is going to get a higher rating.
Well, he's been moving up now.
But he's not across all of them.
Yeah.
We'll see. My understanding was remaining 8 games because ESPN didn't want to add to the TV deal.
Well, that was one of the conjecture that we talked about, and this is where you can almost question Sankey about why did you do the TV deal with ESPN before Oklahoma and Texas are coming in? They're obviously more valuable.
Is there a deal where he's actually looking and has a good idea of what's happening to Disney, ABC, ESPN, and the financial trouble they're in? And if he doesn't get it now, what might not be there? Because they're not the only ones. Every network's in trouble.
And that's why I call them the especially stupid programming network.
People are getting after him now, but I think that's probably what it is.
Well, because we'll see. We'll see. It's scary when you see. And of course,
why didn't Fox go heavy for the SEC package?
Yeah.
When CBS walked away, why did CBS not put up a fight?
Yeah, well,
are we getting to the where it's at the max, and now you got inflation and everything else? Stockholders, especially Disney, ABC, ESPN, they're in a bad way. That don't believe me. Sankey's got a handle on that. All right, let's scroll down and get some of this. I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to get. We need to talk about
Pride Roofing.
Absolutely, and let's go ahead and hear from Mike and Alex.
Hey, it's Michael and Alex again with Pride Roofing. Here we grow again. Did your roof get to Niger and Hurricane Ida?
The insurance company is playing game with you.
Don't forget, August 29th is your 2-year anniversary to make a claim.
Your neighbor got new roof. Why not you?
Pay your deductible. We're fortified, certified.
We do your roof. You came on the Pride umbrella. Bet on Pride.
855 Pride 16.
There you go. Give Mike and Alex a call at 855 Pride 16. Open up another Crown Metals location down in Houma, and Pride is also on board with them in South Louisiana. And, of course, based right here in Albany, Louisiana, on Florida Boulevard. Swing in, take a look at them. And, of course, free TigerBait with a free roofing inspection. You cannot beat that deal. Signed up 2 more guys the other day. Thanks to all you guys. Pride Roofing pays for that, and can't beat it.
Look, folks, we talk about it every week. Residential, commercial, metal roofs. We talk about metal roofs being so hot. They put back so much money in their company. They had just bought a new concrete company. This is another acquisition with Crown Metals. And we talk about this word, and we talk about Pride, and we mentioned it with Brian Kelly and the Pride he was going to bring back to LSU football. You do business with these people, you're going to have pride, because they care, they do the job right, they get there early, they get done, and they will sharpen a pencil. They don't want to lose $200 or $300 on a competitive bid. I've got 5 or 10 people that called us up, and they got it done. They want your business. Give them an opportunity. Jorge Martinez in Baton Rouge on Government Street, 275-2041. And Mike, outside the Baton Rouge calling area, 855-PRIDE-16.
All right, guys, let me get some of these.
LSU, by the way, Arkansas tomorrow in the 4:30 range. They always try and predict. This will be the third game. South Carolina, because of their loss, will play again tomorrow morning at 9:30. And then the two losers tonight will go at the second game at LSU and Arkansas. What's your take? You asked me if you want to see them win it, or are you like me, you're happy if they just get to 2? But the way they're playing, I think I don't think they want to put negativity in their brain. I think they probably want to win it.
You go to win it. Go to win it.
Yeah. Palminteri, by the way, 6 SEC tournament championships in Hoover. He somehow got a chance often. Those guys played well over there.
Man, to come out at 9:30 this morning to play the way they did, that was.
The LSU fan base will be showing up.
Think about what time the players have to wake up, get fed, get dressed, get over there, get BP in, and all that stuff. I mean, that's an early morning for a baseball game. But they got to get them in case there's weather, and they had a tarp on it this morning.
Yeah.
So, James Phillips almost to start the transfer from Oklahoma State, and that's an interesting quarterback situation there. Walker Howard had a good spring. Dart, where's he at? I think Howard looked better than Dart in the spring game.
Ole Miss has plenty of offense, and quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I think Walker Howard is better suited for Lane Kiffin's offense. They dink and dunk. They run a lot of option. We'll see how quickly he gets on the field. But you know the $64 million question, Mike. LSU at Ole Miss September 30th. Will Ole Miss, with Pete Golding coming over as a DC from Bama, will they be appreciably better on defense? So LSU playing the fifth game of the year against Ole Miss over there. Normally you get them playing right around Halloween. So Arkansas earlier this year as well.
Andy Whitaker, FizzBuzz, with a good point. I think one of the big streaming services should pick up a couple of conferences, Amazon or Netflix. I could see either one of those eventually going. Amazon's already doing sports, NFL, and would Netflix ever get into that? Aren't your Netflix? He's got stock.
I'm a big stockholder in Netflix, and I'm glad that they are moving it back up. But look, streaming is just becoming more and more part of this world. It is. It's a big part of our world now. By the way, Roger Goodell is going to continue to be the commissioner. They're going to re-up him. And as we know, interesting to see what our buddies down the road, the Saints, are going to do with Derek Carr as their quarterback. But it is nice, Mike, going into the season with LSU so solid. Now, look, I think everybody realizes Jaden Daniels got to stay healthy, okay? Because then you're really thin with only having Nussmeier to start and then Ricky Collins to back up. But that being said, it's nice going into the Alabama game in November. Now, we know Florida State's got a great quarterback, but have you ever remembered LSU having this big edge at quarterback over Alabama? And I know 19 was a great edge, but once again, they had Tua, who was pretty darn good. So,
if you think about Alabama's quarterbacks, A.J. McCarron, what he did in that national championship game, they were shocked that he played that well in that game. But that was an aberration.
But
since then, you go one by one at some of the quarterbacks they've had and the quarterback play they've gotten, even out of guys that maybe weren't, but they've had very good quarterbacks. But before that, from the 90s to 2008, 9, 10, LSU's had a few better quarterbacks now, but you got to think about it. There was a stretch of time where there was a lot of years where there wasn't more than one or two good quarterbacks in the whole SEC. Just everybody was getting mediocre to average quarterback play. It was a defensive league, and now it's you got multiple good quarterbacks every year, and maybe a year like this one where you're not, might have some new faces and a whole new crop's on the way. And these high school offenses are setting it up. I mean, these kids come more ready because of the offenses they run in high school.
Sure. 7-on-7 everywhere.
Exactly. All right, let me scroll down and get to some of your comments. I'm looking, guys. Give me a second. Burgess Williams, Georgia spends the most money on recruiting, and that's the difference. Well, Georgia is kind of also the state of Georgia is like Louisiana, except maybe with a bigger population. I mean, for years we would always say Mark Richt isn't getting it done. And if he only was able to somehow shut down the borders of Georgia and keep the best talent home, Georgia, no one would ever beat them. And I think Kirby's done a better job with that and going out and getting a guy like Van Pran in New Orleans and other places. Of course, he knew how to do it because he learned from the best.
Yeah. Carson Beck expected to be their starter. Just got the big one that was committed to Ohio State, so they're set up. Man, all of this stuff off the field, I just don't have karma for Georgia three-peating. I know they're going to have a cupcake schedule this year.
Their schedule makes you think they're going to get it, but I'm with you. Something's going to get them.
Something's going to get them this year. And obviously, it'll be interesting to see what Sunbelt Billy does with Florida. Got to be pressure on him if he has a bad year. Tennessee, Joe Milton, a lot of people think he's going to be one of those surprise quarterbacks. So how good will they be? Obviously, here locally, Lane Kiffin and Jimbo. What are they going to do? What do you think? LSU, Alabama at the top, but who's 3 and 4 in the projected SEC West? I said Ole Miss, A&M 3-4.
Man, and
Arkansas is right up there with them.
And if your 3-4 is right, College Station is going to go berserk if Kiffin finishes ahead of Fisher. And we can have all the debates about what Petrino and Fisher, how that could implode. What a risky move that was.
We'll see. We'll see how it works out.
PCG and GIN, what players go to media days? I think it's Jaden Daniels, Will Campbell, defensive player, maybe Greg Brooks.
I'm going Jaden Daniels, Mekhi Wingo, and I know this is going to throw everybody a curve.
Wingo will be good too.
But Jay Bramblett, the special teams, the punter, the holder, and really one of those leaders in the team in the locker room because he was with Kelly and everybody flooded to him. What's he like? And he basically told them, very professional guy. He does what he says, but you better do what you're supposed to do. And that's, Jay may not get that opportunity. Jaden Daniels got to be
I'm sticking with Jaden Daniels, Will Campbell, and it'll either be Wingo or Brooks.
Okay.
That's a good group.
By the way, we talked about the additional DB. I think Mike and I have discussed this on numerous occasions. Probably the biggest things that we're going to be looking at closely. Who are your lockdown corners? How deep are you at corner? How physical are you at corner? And who can you keep at safety that's going to stay healthy? Greg Brooks is the smallest guy but plays big. We know Major Burns has had foot injuries basically off and on for 2 years, 3 years. And, of course, Sage Ryan is going to be thrown in the mix. And then you got all these other guys that are going to get opportunity. If LSU can force some turnovers, play with physicality, and not give up the big ball, the deep ball, then that football team has a chance of going 11-1. That's his number. I don't have one right now.
I might be 11-1.
Too early.
Kevin Ray, where do you rank Harvey Williams as an all-time LSU back? Man, that's a good question. I've had it up on the screen for a while Buddy's talking, and I've been thinking, where would you put him? He did some special things. Of course, he had the knee injury. What draft pick was he? Was he first round or early second?
I don't remember if it's first or late. Late first or early second. I would say Harvey's probably top 10.
I think he is.
I mean, look, there's been a lot of great running backs at LSU, but Harvey and his brother Darryl came over here, and I don't know if it was.
I mean, do you put him ahead of guys like Toefield or I mean, I don't know.
It's hard, man, with running backs. It's so hard.
I mean, Dominic Davis.
Yeah.
You know, of course, you start at the top with Falk and Fournette, and
yeah.
shoot.
It's a hard one to narrow down, but certainly he had his moments.
Okay. Paul Eskin, Harvey's looking to be top 10 all time. Too many elite guys. There's a lot of them that you could really have. There's a lot of them that are so close that they're all bunched up, and the arguments could go either way depending on which way the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Charles Alexander.
Yeah, Charlie A's got to be up there.
Absolutely. Fournette,
Dalton
Jeremy Hill,
Dalton Hilliard's up there.
Geis, all ahead of Harvey. But
Yeah.
I mean, you just named 5 guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we're not even talking about some of the other guys. I mean, look,
Cecil
go back.
Collins, Toefield, Dominic Davis, Justin Vincent, Ali Broussard.
Now, Allie would be in top 10 for as far as a rapper goes.
Yep, we mentioned Clyde either yet.
Nope.
Chance Babin, I loved. We didn't even mention Billy Cannon, did we?
Well, and see, that's
Yeah.
where Chance, we know that, but this is where you get into modern day versus going back over to the 50s. Obviously, you'd have Billy Cannon and Johnny Robinson and some of those guys. Robisky, but I mean, those guys are, you have to have 2 sets of time frames. If you go back all the way with that, to say from 1980 backwards versus modern day, the last 40 years.
But think about it. A lot of these guys are so close.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have your
That's what
elite.
I was
You have your
saying.
elite guys: Cannon, Alexander, Falk, Fournette. Hokey guys, Jean. There you go. Yep.
Rest in peace, Hokie.
I said throw Justin. Yeah, I had Justin in there. I wish Watson nothing but the worst. He got lucky. A desperate team needed a quarterback. Dalton Hilliard.
Yeah. Dalton's definitely top 10. There's no doubt, man. Dalton was
Gary James.
I think his. I don't want to say he was like Allie Gay, looked like Tarzan and played like Jane, but he did not have the numbers that we thought he'd have. Dalton was a better running back at LSU than Gary James. There's no doubt about that.
Cecil Collins.
Well, that's what I was saying. When you look at the baggage, if Cecil takes away the baggage, man.
Now, if you ask Kevin Falk to sit here and say he would put Cecil on the list.
Well, that's what I'm saying from a talent standpoint. But do you also look at talent or productivity
Absolutely.
and longevity?
I wonder what Cecil's doing today. Yeah, Barry Barbier. Both Bama and Georgia have utilized NIL before NIL. Kirby learned from Nick. Does Hester count? Jacob Hester. Certainly he does. Harvey 15 to 20.
Okay. Well, but like I said, it's all.
There's probably a bunch from like 10 or 12 to 20 that
sure.
you could move them around.
Yeah.
And you're not going to start any wars. All right, guys, I'm scrolling up here. And how about Alumni Hall? You want to show your LSU Tiger pride? Alumni Hall is your ultimate shopping experience, the best and largest selection of apparel for the whole family. Nike Golf Champion, Columbia Peter Millar, Southern Tide hats, Yeti gifts and accessories. LSU students, faculty, and military receive 10% off in-store every day, and you can earn cash back with their Hall Pass rewards. Alumni Hall located in Perkins Row or anytime at alumnihall.com. Alumni Hall, where Tiger fans shop. Go by, say that you heard about them on TigerBait. Got a beautiful store right there in Perkins Row. if there's something you want with an LSU logo on it, believe me, they've got it. And now as we're getting close to football season, they're getting all the new arrival ins, the high-quality polo shirts. When you want to look nice on game day, T-shirts. They have a 2 for $36 or 2 for $38 T-shirt deal that they always have going on. They've got more designs than any of them. And go by and tell them you heard about them on TigerBait.
Just verified Harvey did get picked in the first round. So,
I thought so.
You could, not that many running backs got picked in the first round. So I know everybody's got an opinion, but.
Upright runner, and his style was closest to Eric Dickerson.
Yeah, and look, Harvey was a character now. He was not
Mouth
shy.
of the South.
I still don't know if I ever believed that story. You heard the deal. He was going and walking to class, and some of the kids at school started singing the A&M fight song, and he said that's why he decided on LSU. But you got to figure there was some other incentives in the mix here.
And what is he, the uncle of Terrence Tolliver?
I think so.
There was a relationship there. So, all right, guys. I want to thank you all for coming and swinging into the show tonight. If you enjoyed the show, please hit that like button. Share it to your social media. Thanks to Buddy for being along again this week. And we'll be back next Wednesday night. And thanks you all for tuning in. Go to TigerBait, subscribe. Got a lot of premium content there for you. And got a couple of recruiting updates going up tomorrow morning. All right, guys. Good night.